Thanks very much, ladies and gentlemen, for listening to this story. We think it's a very exciting, compelling copper story and rapidly evolving at that as well. So with 10 minutes, what I might have done now, never know. Here we go. There's firstly just the obligatory disclaimer, forward-looking statements, and because we're talking about results of a pre-feasibility study, which was only released on Wednesday last week, there's just the traditional and required cautionary statements here, which I'll assume you will have read. Corporate overview, market cap around about 115. If the graph, Aussie dollars this is, sorry. The graph there shows growth in the story since the T3 discovery. Prior to that, MOD was a very minor West Perth exploration company. T3, this discovery intersection of 52 metres at 2% copper, sort of changed all of that. And the steps along the way are other intersections around T3. And I guess the flat line over the last 9-10 months has really been reasonably predictable in the sense, I hate to say that, but that we're doing feasibility work, and that doesn't excite the market. But clearly the market is reacting to exploration, and of that MOD has enormous upside, as you'll see, I hope. To deal with Botswana, we've created a Botswana company, Shikudu Metals, means rhino metals. It has its own board, it operates all the day-to-day operations, and it's really supported by a very experienced team in Australia and South Africa, particularly of almost acting in a consulting role. But we're very determined to deal as best we can and to meet Botswana's country aims about local employment and training. It is paramount for us to be able to operate in this country long term. We think we're here for the long haul. Just briefly, board and management, 16% Australian Super, roughly 9% Metal Tiger, our joint venture partner, with 30% of the T3 project, 5%. The team, currently the MOD team here, all been around a long time through everything from exploration to corporate to development to operations. And I feel really now that we have the right sort of team to take this company into another level. Mateo, that's the name of T3, that just means beginning, and really it is a very strong beginning. It's the first ore body we've discovered, which is really making quite a significant impact out there. We have a big year ahead to deal with the scale of what we have. We have 12,500 square kilometres in northwest Botswana. We have dozens of targets, valid, be they soil geochemistry, be they structural, be they EM targets to drill. However, we've been confined to T3 for some time now, 2 years, since the original discovery hole. Completion of PFS, board announced proceeding with a DFS, which we hope to reach a conclusion on by the end of this year. And the EIA process is all underway in the background of that. We work very hard with the community. We've established community relations office. We're involved in many initiatives in the district in which we operate. T3 underground, this is the potential for high-grade vein mineralisation, T3 to extend outside the pit. Drilling is underway on that, 30-40 drill holes currently. T1 underground, this is another earlier MOD discovery, about 20 kilometres to the north. It's a 2% 50-gram silver vein-style steep-dipping potential for an underground mine we consider. Then our exploration for practicality more than, and also regional reasons. We've really had to break it down to 4 distinct units, each with its own team, each with some very compelling targets. They're listed there. And showing the process over the next 6 months, we really are looking to amp up exploration big time on this project. And to do that, we need environmental approval through the Department of Environmental Affairs, and that's managed very, very well, I believe, and is proceeding to plan. The feasibility study envisages both a base case 9-year mine and an expansion case whereby at year 3 we increase the capacity of the processing plant and the mine to 4 million tonnes per annum from 2.5. And that expansion case, although it drops the overall resource, the ore grade to 0.86 copper with silver credits on top of that, it pushes out mine life to 12 years but has a huge impact on EBITDA. You can see there I've got to see this here, sorry, 1.1 billion, sorry, if I've got that right, from 734 million. I should know these figures. And importantly, our NPV model goes from 370 to 530. So needless to say, we're very focused on how we can bring about that expansion case and fund that from free cash flow as the mine progresses. There's a breakdown of capital costs on the left-hand side, which arrive at a total of, for the base case, 155 million effectively, and for the expansion, an additional $37 million, which, as I say, should be funded from in project. The early years of this mine have some spectacular high-grade portions to the deposit. It's shallow, it's very large in terms of width, and it's metallurgically perfect. C1 costs here around about $1.22 for the base case, rising to all-in sustaining costs of $1.36, leaving a margin for C1 post byproduct credit around about $1.70. The pit designed in 4 stages, starting from green, moving to orange, and then this is for the base case. And you can see the production profile really topping at about 25,000 tonnes per annum from the base case and pushing it north of 30 in the expansion case there. Not instant, yeah, I wish it was, but rapid payback, I should say, 2.7 years in this case. The base case, just to show the widths and the pit profile as we are there today, it's just a big, thick, stubby ore body and gets up to sort of 100, 120 metre widths here. But the base case really envisages mining the top 50 metres, which is obviously higher grade initially. And just to show some of the intersections that we've got along the way, even though the overall resource grade is around the 1% mark, there are some very nice wide intersections throughout the mine life here. Expansion case, rather poor quality slides, I'm afraid, but just to try and show that it is effectively a pit cutback to push it from around about 25 million tonnes of reserve to a production target of 40 million tonnes in the expansion case. And many of those holes that we discussed in our announcement last week have already been drilled or in process of being assayed or being drilled. T3 big picture, T3 is a very unusual deposit for this region. It's flat, relatively flat lying, it's much wider. It seems to be far more consistent than other deposits in the area. It still is a vein system, however, and it's related to thrusting, a major thrusting event, we believe, and potential ramps off a near horizontal thrust. What we've tried to do here is just show on the top slide there, this is EM, we've flown a lot of EM around the T3 area. It's actually being used now to model the geometry, the 3D geometry of the structure down to 500 metres depth. So this is a really unexpected bonus, if you like, and we think it's a breakthrough for this region because T3 itself was a small, wispy, conductive anomaly as it would have been expected. The ore comes quite shallow to surface in about 25, 30 metres. But underlying it, there's this large sort of domal structure that we call T-Rex, and we can follow this along 11 kilometres. And this forms the basis for part of our regional play, but only a part of it. Plant and infrastructure, we're on freehold farmland. It's been held in high quality cattle farming where we are. And we are very mindful of best practice environmental standards here. This is Botswana's cattle industry. It has bountiful water, so site processed water is not an issue. It's only 12 kilometres from that Hanzi highway. We're 80 kilometres from a town which has everything that we require, and at the same time we're still building an accommodation village to accommodate the construction team and the operational team. And we're very focused on, as I said before, local employment and training to really make a long-term difference to this part of the world. Metallurgy really is top shelf. Everything's in the 90s and recoveries for copper. Silver is pretty good as well. We get very high concentrate grades, very low deleterious here, and thinking at this early stage to export through Namibia. I've got one more minute. Just to give you an idea of scale, everything in orange is mod 70%, everything in red is mod 100%. There are numerous T targets here. We've got up to multiples of 20s, and within each of the Ts there are multiple drilling targets. Not each of them, but in the ones along that central corridor we call the central structural corridor. Just to give you an idea of scale, from the Namibian border in the left-hand side to where the blue, our neighbours, Kuprick Canyon capital are, there's 200 kilometres. We have soil samples, 31,000 soil samples along that belt so far, and that has alone delivered numerous targets for us. Showing you the magnetics, showing you how copper responds. Copper is less sensitive to presenting itself to surface because this region is covered by a 3 to 5 metre layer of calcrete throughout. the central corridor here. So we use copper and it defines targets. We use the M, but we prefer zinc. And this is the last slide to finish on. This is in a dome called T20 dome. This is some 100 kilometres down that same corridor from T3. Here we have a zinc anomaly with no prior drilling, bar one exploration hole up the top, a couple of metres of 6% copper on the edge of it. We don't know the source or pretend to know the source, but that anomaly is about 60 kilometres long for an idea of scale. So thank you very much for your time. I'll leave it with that last slide.